Hey, welcome back to another episode of the MindShare podcast. This is where we share strategies and insights to help you work smarter, build stronger relationships, and create the success that you deserve. This show is proudly sponsored by Kits Keep in Touch Systems, your ultimate marketing lead generation CRM, and REM Real Estate Magazine, Canada's trusted source for real estate news and insights. Learn more about all of our sponsors and download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle at mindshare101.com. Of course, while you're there, discover how our full range of services can help take your business to the next level. From one-to-one coaching for personalized growth to the MindShare Collective group coaching for community-driven success, momentum training to build unstoppable progress, and keynote speaking to inspire and motivate your team. We are here to help you elevate your game. Today's episode is number 328, and we are diving into tariffs and technology to help you thrive in this spring market. He started in real estate when he was 16 years old, working at the front desk at RE/MAX Specialist. He has now been in the real estate business for nearly 20 years, has won numerous awards during his time, including the Hall of Fame and Lifetime Achievement Awards. He was also acknowledged by RE/MAX International in 2012 for outstanding growth and was given entry into the highly esteemed RE/MAX Catalyst. He is a past director of the Mississauga Real Estate Board and has experience in real estate board arbitration, RICO complaints, and litigation. He's also a forward thinker whose expertise in the latest real estate technologies has positively impacted both his companies at enterprises and specialists. A true leader, a hard worker, and an extremely knowledgeable person. He is approachable, eager to help, and goes above and beyond with all of his objectives. And his best piece of advice to new and experienced agents is treat your clients well, and they will return that gift for life. Treat your job like a job, show up, do the work, and the results will follow. Joining me on this episode of the MindShare podcast is special guest, broker of record at RE/MAX Realty Enterprises, Inc., Mr. Ryan Gilmour. Ryan,
Hey,
welcome to the MindShare
that's a
podcast.
that's a heck of an introduction. Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Hey man, listen, these are your accolades, man. I'm reading from the
Like,
script on this stuff, you know?
I feel like we just solved everything. We could just wrap it right now.
You know, it's funny. I was reading that. I'm like, well, so there's your episode of the MindShare podcast today. I hope you guys learned a whole bunch. And,
Enjoy, guys. Have a
contact
great
Ryan if
day.
you have more, like you need anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
it's
you
good,
keeping?
man. Doing good, man. Doing good. My Leafs
Good.
are coming off a big 7-2 win last night. We've retaken top
Yeah.
spot in the division. So, I'm a happy guy, but like anybody would say about my Maple Leafs, they're like, yeah, they're gonna mess it up anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't
It's
know.
we're on that roller coaster now, and it feels so familiar, but this time it feels different. Like maybe you
I
don't even want to
know.
say it.
Listen, we're winning the cup every year.
Yeah,
I've had the parade
exactly.
planned for some 20 something years now, right? So we're like, we're getting this party's going to be amazing. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. No
jokes
kidding.
aside, the Jays start tomorrow, which is exciting.
Yep. Yeah. I think I
Um,
got tickets for Friday that I got a couple agents from the office going to that one, so it'll be great.
nice, nice. Well, I know
Yeah.
that I got some stuff I got to do down in the city tomorrow, and I am not looking
Beautiful.
forward to the traffic and the chaos that's
Uh,
going to ensue because that'll be like one of the busiest days in the season for the Jays and a Skydome. But anyhow, I
well, we
digress.
planned an event right in the middle of Taylor Swift's time here, so nothing will. I don't think anything will trump that, right? Yeah.
That's for sure, eh? Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
speaking of Trump, and we'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah.
But as you brought that up, I wanted to ask you. We're sitting here today, right at the end of March, and go figure, Q1 is pretty much done. Not
Yeah.
sure how that happened so quickly. And now we look ahead and say, okay, we're into the thick of it with the spring market, and we know that in this business, spring market is where everybody makes, this is where you make your sort of your success, right?
Yeah.
And it's not to say that Q3 and Q4 won't bring it, and Q1 didn't bring it for people, but we also know that Q2, being spring market, is that high time of the business.
Yeah.
Um, but it's different this year. It's different,
It
and
is.
I wonder, what do you think? Is it going to heat up? Where are we at, man?
Yeah. Like I feel like it can't help but heat up. I've given this lots of thought. So I like on the one hand, you say it's different, but I I've led almost every one of our pep rallies with, "Wow, that was a different year." Like for the last 10 years, like
Fair enough.
like really, like we had in 18, it was the 16-point plan that the Ontario Liberals pretty much like killed the market, and then we had right after that was COVID, and then the recovery from COVID, and then everything's going to get better, and then everything just stopped dead. We have interest rates that have affected everybody, and so I think the message, as you've told, and I've been saying it for a long time as well, is just the market's between your ears, and you just keep plugging away. Like if the market's down 30%, that's 3 extra calls you make in a day. Like that's really it, right? Um, but yeah, I feel like Canadians are doing exactly what they always do, which is stop, like wait, see what's going to happen. And then I don't know if you've noticed, like I'm a bit of a junkie. I haven't taken your advice on this. I still wake up and look at the news, which I probably shouldn't. But I feel a sense of responsibility to at least know, so that my agents ask me questions, I'm
Oh, I'm
at
not
least in
saying
tune
don't
with.
look. I'm just
Yeah,
saying don't make
yeah,
it the
yeah.
first thing you look at in the
Yeah,
morning, you
like I
know?
don't doom scroll. That's the one lesson
Okay,
that like
good.
I for sure, that's one I avoid for sure. But I've noticed that in there's an optimism in the market, right? So you see stock markets starting to rise. You see Canada's response actually garnered international support, which I think is pretty awesome. So even though I think we've got some hard times coming, I don't think it's over. I think it's far from over. We're going to be renegotiating what was NAFTA, now is whatever the U.S. Free Trade Agreement. But I feel like people are starting to get over it. And I think part of the big hesitation we saw was all the snow on the ground. Like
Yeah.
piles of snow in front of people's houses are like a good deterrent for them putting a for sale sign. And I know this because when I came back from March break, I was talking to my front desk. I'm like, was it still pretty quiet? And they said, no, we were swamped with listings, right? So the listing inventory starts to rise, and I think that starts to get the buyers out, and I think we're going to start to see it. I think our April is going to be a much better month than March. So, but
You know what,
I
man?
can't wait to be
Listen,
pointed out wrong on that one.
no, dude, listen, but I think the optimism is fantastic, and I would
Yeah,
agree. I think that the snow really did mess things up, and that is something to be, just to call out here, because again, at least here in Ontario, there was a ton of it. And as you
yeah,
did drive by the streets and you did see the sold or the for sale signs that were either buried or knocked over because of the trucks coming by and moving snow, who wants to put a
yeah.
sun on the lawn at that point, at that moment? So you kind of wait. Then you
Right.
know that the weather's about to change, it's going to melt.
Yes.
I mean, let's wait for
Yeah.
the better photos as well. So there's something
Yeah.
definitely to be said about that. Now,
Yeah.
going backward for a second, where you brought up, everybody kind of waiting.
Yeah.
I go back to a few years back when everybody was told, like, don't go out and see people, don't door knock, don't do open houses, like, stay away. And everybody thought to themselves, like, wow, there's so much going on right now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to
Yeah.
wait. And I said back then, I said, look, if you're waiting, what are you waiting for? And people really didn't know the answers to that. But so I sort of fast forward and illustrated the whole thing and said, okay, so you're waiting for somebody to say it's okay to get back out there and do, or
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
somebody sat back and thought, I guess so. Said, okay, so at least we've defined what you're waiting for. But let's go to the next level here. When you think about a marathon and you think about everybody waiting, and now think about the marathon, and everybody tuned in right now, like think about the marathon, right? You've got, dozens, hundreds of maybe thousands, however big this marathon is, of people that are waiting. They're ready to go. They're prepped and ready. They got the bib on. They got the running shoes. They had their water. They're waiting for that gun to go off and the line to break.
Yeah.
And then they all run. And
Yeah.
what happens at that exact moment?
Yeah.
Chaos ensues. People start tripping over themselves, and nobody knows where to go next. Now, the people that get out in front are always the people that end up winning the race. Now, of course, Dave, of course, there's logic. They go in front, they're going to win the race. Yeah, I got you. But my point is, they also don't get caught up in the chaos. So now you think to yourself, you say, okay, well, we're not running a marathon. Well, we are in business, and it is more of a marathon than it is a sprint. So let's think about this for a moment. If I remain consistent with my communication and to what you said about paying attention to the news, and I'm with you, you need to look, you need to know what's going on out there.
Yeah.
If we pay attention and if we watch what's happening, and there's some negative narrative in that media, and we think about staying out in front, and we continue to communicate with people, and maybe, like you said, make a few more phone calls, what ends up happening now is we stay in front of the pack. We don't get caught up in the noise. The momentum continues. And when people are ready to put those signs on the lawn because the snow has melted, to get past the fact that, the market has, we thought it was going to be doom and gloom, but maybe it's not. We continue to communicate, to educate. We are going to be the people that they look to when they need somebody.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
And this is just something that, again, is a message for everybody to pay attention to. Now, as and you said, like, I know you used the word Trump in a different context, but I says, we'll get to that one as we talk about
Yeah.
market. All of a sudden, I think it was yesterday I saw recently talk about the news is that, Mr. Trump may not be imposing these tariffs. And so I thought I'd bring that up today and say, what are your thoughts on these tariffs and how they're impacting the current market? And, again, what's your thoughts on sort of the length of time that this will have in terms of like the impact or the effect it will have on this market?
That's a tough one. I
I know,
don't know.
it's
I don't know. Like,
speculation, right?
yeah, I don't want to get into. I don't want to get into anything that's like too political. My feeling is that this will mirror
Oh,
a
I'm not
lot of
asking you to
what we
tell us if you
saw.
like Trump or not.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So,
We won't go there.
but we know what we know, right?
Yeah,
What we know is that in chaos there's opportunity, and I feel like
invariably.
this president's good at creating chaos. And I think he's going to seize every opportunity he can, right? I think that's part of the plan. And so I do feel like we have to just be ready to handle new stuff flying at us on the regular. And I think you saw our government respond pretty quickly on that, and like all of us sitting on the edge of our chair. Oh no, 100% tariffs. Oh no, now they're gone. Now they're back. So I think you kind of have to tune out the noise to some extent. And you mentioned people are waiting for someone to say it's okay to
Hmm.
proceed, right? So to me, the marathon started a long time ago, and it's going to continue. And the people that are going to get the prize are the ones that don't stop, right? I feel like um, if we wait and hang on every word that some politician has, who has some power over our livelihood, then we get stuck being the people that are waiting to get started while everybody else is out doing the work of getting going, right? And it's also what I was thinking this when you were talking. It says a lot about leadership as well. Like the leaders of the world are the ones that say it's okay to keep going. Like it's okay to, yeah, this could be hard, but we're gonna make it, and it's okay to keep living your life, right? And you know this, I'm sure, because you coach lots of agents. I feel like independent contractors and salespeople in general sometimes need that reminder. Like they need to be just told it's going to be okay. Right.
Yeah.
Like some of the
Listen,
top guys in my office used to come to me in January, guys and gals, actually. The example I'm thinking was a female agent who was the top individual in my office regularly. And she'd come in like January 15th. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this year. Maybe I'll join a team. I don't know. And then she'd do 500,000 the next year. Like just, and everyone would think like she has problems with confidence. What? And it's incredible, right? It's that you just need that little reset, that little thing to say, you know what, it's okay to continue. It's okay to keep going.
I was just going to ask you that. What are the sentiments of the agents right now? Like, what kind of questions are they asking, and what are you sharing with them? I mean, did you just summarize that by saying, "Look, it's just about letting people know it's okay"? And I do want to double down on that and say, the
Yeah.
simplicity of that message
Yeah.
is so important because, yeah, as an entrepreneur, um, somebody who's running their own business, you're running your own business. You're by yourself a lot of the time, so you can get into your head a lot of the time, and then you can start to think, "Well, I don't know. Is it just me? What are people? What kind of concerns are people coming with? Is that as simple as it is, right?"
Yeah. Like I feel like I'm at a bit of an advantage because I made an investment back in December in a coaching program for my agents, and we're rolling that out right now. I don't know if you've heard of this guy, David Greenspan, but
I
so
think I
like,
heard of
so
him.
yeah,
He's really
yeah.
good at
So
what he does. Eh? Yeah,
th-
it's fantastic.
So, yeah, and what I guess what that does for us as a leadership team, and what that has done for our agents, is it gives them something to focus on that isn't that, right? So, like I feel like most brokers that are on the call know this. Like, the more that you can reiterate that message that it's going to be okay, just keep going. We have our Monday mindset calls, and I do get the odd person who's honest about the fact that they're feeling it a little bit,
Yep.
and then privately, probably out of 150 in my the smaller organization that I own at Enterprises, there's a good like handful of people that are pretty darn concerned about it, and like our jobs again as leaders, I think, is just to remind them that like none of this, we're panicking about stuff we A, have no control over, and B, haven't even happened yet. Like they haven't come to fruition at this
Yep.
point.
Yep.
Yeah, strawberries are expensive. Stop buying strawberries for a little bit, right? Like
Yep.
we'll live, right?
Apparently, watermelons are like $20 at Fortino's or something like that.
Like, okay, we won't eat watermelon right now.
Yeah. 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 Fair. 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 See, but
Like,
but but look.
like on the grand scheme of things, I feel grateful that we're in a country that we are net producers of produce, right? So no one's going to starve if tariffs go on for a long time and they're 100%. Like we have enough food, we grow enough food here because we're also going to export a whole lot less of it too, right? If that's what's going to happen. So let's just get used to eating what we produce here. And I've been like on the sort of side note of this is like not getting right into what the agents are doing with their lives. I'm thinking about this as a unifying thing for our country as well. Like I was in Quebec when a lot of this was happening, and the last time I was in Quebec, I avoided. I actually was in Quebec Canada Day last weekend. We were driving through from PEI with the kids, and my daughter's all dressed like in Canada Day colors because we were going to be in Ottawa. But we woke up in Quebec, and I suddenly was like, "Oh no!" Like we're wearing Canada Day stuff, and my daughter says to me, Daddy, why is nobody else in red? And I was like, let's talk about that later while there's not a bunch of but this time around, I'm riding the chairlift and I'm talking to people in gondolas, and they're like, can you believe what we're going through as a country? We got to stick together. This is from Quebecois, like French speaking, French like people from the province that normally is very critical of
Yep.
Canada. So I'm very inspired by that aspect of it, by the coalition of premiers that have come together, and like the show of power, I think is a bit of a show, but because we're 1/10 the size of their economy, so like let's get over ourselves. Like we're not going to win a war where we're trying to threaten bigger trade tariffs on the U.S. right? But the mere pivot that it caused for the country as a whole, I'm really refreshed by that, and I think a lot of people are, right? Because we heard a lot of negativity for a lot of years about this country, and now we can finally start saying, you know what, we're great, we're proud of what we got, we're proud of being here, and we're proud of our identity, right? It feels okay to say that now.
I love the optimism, man. Um,
Yeah,
this is that whole adage of like looking at the glass half full or the glass half empty.
yeah.
You're
I,
seeing the
I got a good
positives of it.
mentor. I got a good mentor in that department. My father's one of those guys that gets accused of wearing rosy colored glasses everywhere he goes.
You know what though? Listen, man. I mean, I'll tell you. There's a lot of people that hang that gray cloud over their heads all day, every day, and like every time you talk to them, that's what it feels like. And there's a lot of doom and gloom. And this is where, yeah, the
Yeah,
mainstream media can really get in your head. It can really start to impact the thoughts. It can really start to impact what you see. And I've long said, like, I have the conversation with my father all the time when he brings up the news. I'm like, listen, man, I don't care. He's like, you need to care. I'm like, no, no, no. You just completely took my words out of context. Of course
yeah,
I care. I'm a business
yeah.
owner. I need to understand what's going on out there. At
Right.
the end of the
Yeah,
day, I don't play in the political space. I am not out there every day trying to impact change on the economy. Again, maybe in my micro world, sure, but I'm not out there focused on that. I'm focused on what I do with helping people for a living. And
yeah,
so I'm going to focus on what I can control. I'm going to focus on what I'm supposed to get up and do every day. I'm going to focus
yeah,
on the struggles and the challenges the people around me are facing and why they've engaged me to help with that. And as long as I focus on that, I can help myself better. I can help the people around me better, and I can keep that in a positive light. And if you want to call it rose colored glasses, hey, it's a very nice thing to live in a positive mindset rather than a negative mindset. So I love where you're
yeah,
coming from. So speaking to that, then, right, I would ask you, like, when it comes to, because I'm very optimistic. And I know
yeah,
for a lot of people, they're like, whoa, man, like things are expensive. And don't get me wrong, I can't stand how much tax I pay. It's like it bothers me. Yesterday I was doing something, and all of a sudden I heard the conversation from my team. Oh, yeah, the bills or the tax. I'm like, stop talking about tax. I don't want to hear it. But I'm very optimistic
hmm,
about what this market is, the transition of the market, how we saw it go way up. We've seen it have its dip. What goes up must come down. It's
hmm,
normal. What
hmm.
goes down must go up.
Yeah.
What opportunities are you seeing on the horizon when it comes to, and we'll look at our real estate market specifically because we're not talking politics, we're talking real estate. Buyers,
Yeah.
sellers. What should our people be keeping an eye out for right now? Any
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
I feel like and I don't have the exact talking points on it, but I'm going to tell you my gut feeling on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So last year and in the last couple of years, very few of the transactions that we saw were first time homebuyer transactions, mainly because the barrier to entry was so great. And I saw several movements by CMHC and our government to try to really push home ownership. I think some of them include being able to qualify for 5% up to $1 million on certain programs from various lenders. Like there was 30-year amortization came back. Uh, I read somewhere that the average age of the person who sold a house last year was like 63 or something like that. Like that's an insanely
Hmm.
like like that's the haves, not the have-nots that are doing the
Absolutely.
selling,
Yep.
right? So I feel like the opportunity is going to be in servicing these clients that maybe got left out as the interest rates start to come down a little bit, as these programs open up mortgage amortization terms that were or amortizations that were banned for a number of years. Those are welcomed back, but only for your own ownership, not for like speculating, right? Which I think is the right move. I think if we want to get more people into home ownership, which I think is like we all agree is one of the best. Like I think our nation's stronger if you have a bunch of people that own the houses that they
Of
live
course.
in. Then we're really opening up that door. So I think with that and the first time home buyer program that they've come up with now, where it's like an RSP and a TFSA all crammed in together in one, you've got way more opportunity for people to get into that space. And so I think we're going to see more of that. I think especially as the interest rates start to come down. Um,
Which we've seen them we've seen them continue to come down. They've just been unfortunately overshadowed
yes.
by the bigger landscape around politics right now and just what's
Yeah.
going on out there. They've
Yeah.
just been overshadowed. And I think there are some positives. And I do believe, like right now, you know, and I don't know what your thoughts are on sort of the overall impact on the real estate business, but I could share with you, for me, when I look at buyers and think,
Yeah.
hey, buyers, you actually have time to shop. You've got
Yeah.
time to look. You've got time
Yeah.
to think. You've got the ability to put, conditions in the deal, which I was always a promoter of like keep the conditions in the deal. I don't know all this stuff, but I mean, I understand that like, well, the
Yeah.
house will sell and we won't be able to get it.
Yeah.
Back a few years ago. Okay, fine. And I'm still again, if I go down that rabbit hole, I'll tell you why I still don't think that was a good idea. But today, the buyers have time. They've got options. They have
Yeah.
patience on their side. They can sleep on it. They have room to negotiate. So there's a wonderful opportunity for buyers. And when you look at the sellers and you think, hey, seller, you've also got people that are going to be coming out to look. And there are
Yeah.
people there that are ready to go. They are. It's just a matter of maybe timing for some of them around what they can afford to get or around their uncertainty of the economics of it all. But there are people that are going to jump on this stuff. And I mean, if you look at like we've seen some big sales happening in the industry over the past little bit, with Redfin and KW and then Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, if Mr. Buffett is selling,
Hmm.
it tells you that things are starting to get to a low point, but it also means there's going to be a lot of buying happening. And over
Yeah.
time, what's going to happen is you look at that opportunity, say, wait a second, you can never tell when the bottom of the market is coming. But when it's there, there's the moment to take advantage. And I think we're getting to that point. And again, that's not a negative.
Hmm.
That's trying to paint the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. Everyone I hear like trying to time the market, I think is
It's impossible.
yeah. And like even if you're looking at the market from a thousand meters above, right? Like where 1900 is here and this is today. I mean, the general trend. I don't know if my arm's going the right way on the camera, but like generally the trends go
It's
like that.
going up.
Yeah, it's going up, right?
Yeah.
And so like whenever somebody is like, I don't know if this is the right time, I'm like, just zoom out for a second. Stand back here. And
Yep.
now look at the market, right? Does it really matter? Like the all of the 90s, the worst recession we've ever seen in the real estate market, when you look at a chart this big, looks like this. Like it's you have to squint to see it. And even though it was a horrible, like I talked to my realtors that are veterans, they're gonna rib me later about this because like I know it was a really tough time for realtors, but and for people for like not just realtors. We're talking about real estate now, but I remember one of my first listings. I think it was like 2003,
Hmm.
and the when I did the analysis on what their house was worth, it was worth like 20 grand more than they paid for it 10 years prior. And like they had basically sunk down and came back
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not making light of that. Yes, you can get hurt, but if you're buying for the long term, it's always generally up. All markets are, right? If you look at, because why? Because we're having babies. All of us are having, like, our population's growing, and so markets go up. That's just the kind of the reality of
Well,
it.
here, if you, I mean, the zoom out, and I could say it the way I've always said it in you know, past century,
Yeah,
decade over decade, the market is up.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
the illustration of it right there. So
That's right.
you're bang on with the, the graph going upwards. It really is. You take a step
Yeah,
back and you look at it, it's there. You just have to be able to afford to hold on to it,
that's it.
depending on your situation.
And I mean, you talked about the frenzy. Like, I don't think I agree with you that that frenzy of activity that happened during COVID. Like, I have to deal with more problem files from that era than any other time, right? Because and I believe it's because buyers didn't have the time to sit and think through their decision before acting on it. And
Hmm.
that to me, and agents knew it at the
Yep.
time. Like
Yep.
they like my buyer's insisting, I want to wait, but there's four other bidders, and what do I do? Like we were racing. I remember actually we had one set of buyers where actually, this is my own personal buyer where I saw the pods truck in the lawn, and I got out of my car and spoke to the people, and they're like, "Yeah, here's our realtor's info. We're coming on the market next week." And my people were like, "Get us in before." We did a home inspection on the first day they were on the market and had our offer with three other bids 3 days later. Luckily, I happened to get in early enough that they had that opportunity. But think about all the bidders that came afterwards that didn't, right? And these people are, they're it's their first time buying a house, and they're signing up for something they have no idea. And the people I think that got burned were the ones that didn't take the time to consider it. Like maybe they stretched the budget a little too much, and then when the interest rates changed, holy crap, I'm in trouble. I'm having to get out. And or the ones that thought they were never coming back to Toronto, right? They went and bought in Owen
Right,
Sound,
right,
and
right.
that
They went up north or
that
something like
market
that.
inflated by 20% because of all the Toronto people pushing the prices, and then they had to go and sell, a year
Well,
later for 100 grand less.
again, though, I'll say there's where opportunity looms, is that there were a lot
Yeah,
of people that got in over their heads. We know there's a lot of renewals coming up this year and next year, and then,
yeah,
unfortunately or fortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that need to get out of their houses, which means there's going to be a lot of transactions to be had, which comes back
yeah,
to what is everybody doing during the day, right? And how to
yeah.
generate more. Um, so with all that being said, then from a broker standpoint, like how's the brokerage business, or moreover, what's your biggest to do in a day in this current landscape?
Yeah, it's I'm trying, like, I'm in a phase of my life now where I'm focusing more on efficiency. I'm trying to get more I think you and I talked about this offline. Um I spend a lot of my time making sure that people are taken care of. Which I love. It's my natural. It's the thing I want to do. Right? Like somebody calls me who's in my office. I want to talk to them. I want to. I
Yep.
want to walk them through something. And I would say that's probably the highest, like if I were to track the mileage on my phone and on my text, that's probably what I do the most of. And I don't know that that's necessarily wrong. Like if I were to take you look at what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to do the most efficient tasks only. But I heard a quote at the Remax conference in Vegas 2 weeks ago that stuck with me. I'm going to totally wreck it now because we're live and on the air. Oh yeah, yeah. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care,
That's right.
right? So the most important thing, now I'm in the business of creating a community, and trying to keep people within that community motivated and happy and healthy and having an outlook that's positive. And so they kind of have to know I care. And so I don't really apologize, I guess, for not, for that being the most important thing that I do. So, like I sat through a day-long Rico event 2 days ago. Yesterday, I was in a hearing for one of the boards that I sat on, and most days, there's 10 or 15 conversations with agents about how to either improve their business, how to get through a scenario, how to get over how to write a clause together.
Hmm.
I found out I did a personality tester, and apparently I'm a collaborator, which makes perfect sense. I did the
Apparently.
PI. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like that. The collaborator naturally wants to find solutions, with someone, and that, that's part of what I love about my job. Each day, someone throws something at me that I might have heard something similar before, but not exactly that. And now we have to craft something or come up with a strategy that solves it together. I mean, just before this, I was in right behind this wall. We have a big training room, and I was with a bunch of people doing a an AI discussion. And like, I'm not a pro on AI. Right, I use it every day. Now I'm using it probably 10 or 15 times a day. But I'm learning it, and I'm wanting to get more information from the people that are in the room with me than I'm offering up myself. Right, it's amazing. I love that aspect of the role.
You know what, man? And we'll talk more about AI in just a second. I just
Sure.
I want to emphasize that how important it is to collaborate.
Yeah.
We just launched the MindShare Collective, which is a group coaching program, which is an online community that gives everybody the opportunity to get involved with a community that is not on social media. It is not Facebook. It's not about complaining. It is about completely collaborating with others and
Right.
problem solving and asking questions and finding out what's going on out there and getting people who are wearing essentially walking in the same type of shoes, walking the same path every day.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you going through? What are you going through? And trying to just create that community. And so we started the collective to do that. And again, it falls in line very much with what you just said about learning from each other when you're in those rooms.
Yeah.
Now, with all this stuff that you do in a day and sort of all the connection points and all the people you're talking to and all the things you have to do and running the business, how do you stay on top and organized with it all? Do you put a huge emphasis on scheduling? How do you get it all done?
Yeah. Like I was that I'm gonna go. I'm gonna bear the soul now. So I was one of those students that I could write an essay in the morning and get an A on it, like the morning it was
Okay.
due.
Yeah.
Which anyone who knows that profile knows that that means I didn't develop great skills in terms of organization, right? Because I very much liked being with people and not sitting at a desk doing things. And so
Yeah.
I had to learn kind of the harder way. Like once I got into the brokerage business, I could compensate for that by just putting in stupidly long hours. So I could blow my daytime hours in front of people and having fun and collaborating and helping with offers. And then I would get all the brokerage work done at night. And I worked very long hours for the first, let's call it 7 years or so of owning the brokerage. I would say that's how I was able to get as much done as I was. I had partners as well who helped take some of the pressure of the daytime off of me, which was lovely. But more recently, we just had our fourth kid in September. I think I shared with you the story. He was born
Yeah.
in the car, and like it was not exactly. It was like bonkers, right? Probably the best day of my
Wow.
life, but also chaos, like utter
Yeah. Yeah.
chaos. So, and I like a long time ago, I made the decision. I'm going to say like when I after having my first child, it was actually my wife that prompted it. She's like, "Hey, so like I'd like it if we could have a family dinner every night at a set time." And I was like, "Ooh," like, but that's the time I start
Every night.
working.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's when I start
Not
my work,
easy.
right? So yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you, like the from that point forward, I started to get a little more ruthless with my calendar. So I integrated Calendly 5 years ago or six years ago into my regime. I think it was actually might have been even during COVID. Yeah, that's about that same timeline. And I do 25-minute bookings. And I try very hard not to deviate too far from that. But of course, if I know I've got a spare the next period, I might deviate if I'm having a great conversation. I'm thinking if Tuan's watching right now, he's gonna be like, "Dude, we've never stayed to 25 minutes." But I try my best to be cognizant of that. I also hired an assistant recently, which is something that I'd never done before. Something I had a lot of fear over, really, because it's like you're kind of bearing your soul and whatever. But she's helping me stay on top of everything. She's helping me with a lot of the stuff that sort of the work before the work.
Yep.
Like I got to be
Yep.
on like this show. I'm sure there was a ton of planning that happened in the background for you to just show up and be live, and that's just like every job, I think, right? Where we're in front of people, all the homework gets done, and then so I've got Jacqueline helping me with that. I've leveraged the hell out of AI, which we're going to talk about later, and I started using for the first time ever Monday.com. So I started to really immerse myself into an operational planning environment.
Hmm.
So we chose Monday. I don't think it matters which one you do. I had my coach, the coach who coaches the brokerage side of the business, helped me with that, and we're starting to automate some of the processes. Like we're like I'm really kind of in the mode of trying to refine this, so that we can eliminate the inefficiencies in it. We did
Well,
a process analysis of our onboarding. A coach asked me on a call. One of the Remax coaches asked on a call, uh, how long does it take you to onboard someone? And we all asked our administrators, what's the onboarding process total? And ours was 187 steps.
yep.
187 steps that my
Yep.
administrator and the rest of the support team has to follow. So we're working on automating that, and then and but trying to also keep it, because like I got your words ringing in my head right now. Automating it so that it's actually rehumanized,
Yep.
right? Not to make it so that somebody's interacting with a robot. We want to actually make it so you get more of a personal experience, but that it's done in a way that we're not pressing the buttons and pulling the levers and doing all the like back end work.
Yep.
And I've got Bomb's tagline in my head right now: rehumanizing communications. Right. So
It's
the idea
crucial,
is make sure
man.
it's more personal. Yeah, exactly. And like I think you said this in the context of using technology. Like you can't replace yourself with technology, because people need to feel you, right? They got to hear your voice, and they got to feel you in the process. So that's like we're super cognizant of that. I've been a long time user of BombBomb and of other technologies that help you get that done, right? Video long before COVID, and like we used video. I think it was GoToMeeting before Zoom existed.
Yeah, right.
But like, what else are you going to do? Like that? Those are like when you're talking to somebody about getting an appointment with a client. Uh, so like text, if text is worth 5 points, a phone call is worth 7 points, a Zoom call is probably worth 8.5, and then face to face is 10, right? Like it's that human connection cannot be replaced, and it's the
See, I,
thing that probably can't get disrupted either, right?
no, listen, and to the whole thing, it's there's always a lot to do in a day.
Yeah,
And I do believe that as we allow technology to continue to to come in and give us the tools to help us automate, to help us do,
yeah,
on one hand, it's still got to be human business. It's still got to be a people business, because at the end of the
yeah,
day, that's who people want to deal with. Then you look at the amount of things you have on your plate to have to do, and it's definitely a scary thought to bring on an admin. One, from a bottom line cost perspective, overhead.
yeah,
Two, from a
yeah,
transparency perspective of, oh my God, I'm literally going to let you into my world now in the way I
yeah,
operate and what I do. The beauty, though, that I have found from it over the years is it does create a sense of accountability. It
yeah,
also allows for the business to be worked on instead of always worked in.
yeah,
When,
yeah.
as you alluded to with this show, when we first started, and I've said this before on the show, but, it was taking us about 15 hours a week of production.
Right,
It's now down to about 5 hours a week, and I'm not even doing all 5 of those hours anymore.
right,
My
yeah,
biggest to do is to be here right now, which is
hmm,
amazing. And that's again, that's a testament to, my team, the people that are
yeah,
here, the
yeah,
people, not the technology.
yeah,
It's a testament to the processes that we have in place, to the way
yeah,
we leverage the time, and all of that comes together to be able to say, hey, today we're on episode what did I say, 328.
yeah, yeah.
That's yeah, 328. Like, it's funny because I've even
I-
lost count of that stuff, but it's great, man. We were just ranked in number 6 in all of North America for this podcast, for real estate podcasts. And there's some very, very big names that come after us on that list, and that's
It's
just a
awesome,
very
man.
cool thing.
Yeah.
We don't take it and put it the feather in the cap and go, look at us, let's get
Yeah,
complacent.
yeah, yeah.
Hey,
That's not
it's
a rah
cool.
rah. That's just a yeah.
It's just
It's
a
a
fact. It's
validation
just
that
a
you're doing
fact.
something that people are enjoying, right? Like the
And
people are
that's the
actually
thing, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
We keep thinking about the people. And that's where I wanted to
Yeah.
get to with you with AI and social media and lead generation, in a world of
Yeah.
all this tech. And I think we're
Yeah.
saying it, the relationships are still the most important,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So speaking of that, then I know that with your office, lead gen is
Yeah.
a tool that is offered, and you guys do support your agents with it.
Yeah.
You've got systems in place for all this stuff, and I guess I wanted to ask you, from your experience with it, what do agents need to know when it comes to the realities about actually converting them? Like, what do you tell them, and I guess how do you help them with it, just so they can better
You're
understand that?
yeah, you're talking about pay per click type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that the game is the same. I mean, there's a certain type of human that's going to be okay doing that, like where you like nurturing a large group of people, right? I think the name of the game is the same as it's been for ages in terms of you've got a funnel of people coming in. You want to be creating captivating calls to action for them on the regular, providing great information, making sure that you're hitting them with stuff that's relevant to what they're looking at. Like now the tools are so sophisticated that we get a pop-up on the Max Tech app that it'll say like this person's looked at this house 4 times. Maybe you
Mhm.
should suggest there's an open or suggest a viewing on it, right? And so we've got the tools right in front of us. Um, but I do feel like, and I don't know if you've been thinking about this. I'm looking at that once AI starts to really immerse into that area, whoever's got the most money to spend on AI is probably going to win the race of like who can nurture those people the best,
Yep.
right? And
Have you
and
seen the
so
cold caller that's now AI?
I have not.
It's a cold caller. It literally
Okay.
calls you up and it's like, "Hey, Ryan, we noticed you were looking at 123 Anywhere Street. Just wanted to ask, have you still got questions about 123 Anywhere Street?" And you can reply
That's
and be like,
amazing.
"Yeah, how many bedrooms has it got?" "Well, Ryan, since you asked about bedrooms, let me tell you more about the bedrooms." And it starts to
That's
answer the question.
incredible.
It's wild, but at the same time, too, I look and say again, okay, and
Yeah.
I'm going to keep reiterating this to the entire audience and to everybody tuned
Right.
in right now. Please
Yeah.
understand that if we want to remain relevant and continue to get paid and continue to have a job, we need to
Yeah.
be the ones doing the work. I'm
Yeah.
okay with embracing technology to an extent. I'm
100%.
okay with delegation. I'm okay
Yeah.
with support tools.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we want to
I
remain relevant and continue to get paid and not have to negotiate every point that we can make on a deal, we need to
yeah.
prove our value.
Totally. Totally. I look at the people that are in the lead gen program. We've got like the leads that come from Remax that everybody gets, and then we've got an actual lead gen program where you subscribe. We the brokerage covers the cost of Commissions Inc. account, and then I've got a few people, a handful that stuck it out. Everybody was in it. I had 20 or 30 people in on it a few years ago, and then the leads started to change a little bit, and even the best lead gen people are struggling a little bit now. I think it's a harder, like most of the stuff coming in is rentals or has been for the last
Yep.
year, right? But you
It's
can
not
you
quality.
but like if I look at that person's business, the profile of the person that did 80,000 in Commissions Inc. leads or KV Core leads a couple of years ago, they're doing 120 from that same group, but it's spin-off business, right? It's the aunt, the uncle, the kid, the parents,
It's group
you
one
know,
business, repeat and referral.
100%. So like in my mind, that kind of any cold sort of lead gen, the whole idea is bring them into your fold, right? Get them in your fold. Like they should be your sphere by the time you're done with them, right? And if they're not your people. Like if you don't strike a relationship where they're thinking about you and they're saying, I've got somebody who I think you might want to work with. They're looking to buy a house. Would you work in XYZ? And you're like, oh yes. Right. Like if they're not doing that, they're probably not your people. And I've
Right.
got some agents that like that I've got 200 people in my sphere. And if you haven't referred me something the last 5 years, you're out. Like
No.
ruthless. Right. You can be as ruthless as you like. If you're spending money on the leads, which like a lot of people are spending good or not leads, sorry, on your community, if you're
Yep.
investing back into your sphere, sometimes there's a point where you're like, is this person ever gonna pay it back? But
Yeah,
you're
but
you
let's
should
be real
also
though. we
Yeah.
got to put a timeline on that for just a quick moment, because I know that
Sure.
there's people out there that will say that if they haven't worked with you in a year, take them off the list. If they haven't worked with you in 5 years, take them off the list. Yet I would ask the
Yeah.
question. I do this often, and we did this with
Yeah.
our group a few weeks ago when we were together. How often do people move? And the answer is
Yeah.
typically somewhere between the 7
Seven,
to 12 years.
7 to
And if
12. There
that's
you
the
go.
case,
Yeah.
why wouldn't I put somebody on what we call, and we've taught
Yeah.
to your group, the 10-year
Yeah.
plan?
Yeah.
And it really means 10 years. 10 years really means infinite, because that's again
Right.
the point, right?
Yeah.
Riches are in the niches, fortune is in the follow-up. So when I
Ooh, I
continue to
like
follow
that.
up, yeah, that's I didn't come up with that.
Okay.
That I didn't come up with that.
We don't
That's
know who
why,
that
like,
is.
I've got it. Rob Flynn. I think his name is Rob Flynn.
Okay.
Oh
Right on.
man, now it's on the tip of my tongue here.
There you go.
I gotta figure this
Now
one
you got to
out
look it
for
up.
us.
Sorry.
Riches
I
are
totally
in the
disrupted your thought there.
niches.
Yeah.
Who said it? Richard, make it big. Oh, now I get see now I'm doing this like on a live show here, trying to figure out who it is. I'm gonna find it
I,
out. I'm gonna post it
but
back up. I actually taught a group about this the other day, and I can't.
yeah.
Pat Flynn, that's what it was. Pat
Pat
Flynn.
Flynn. Okay. I'm not
There it
familiar with that.
is.
Yeah.
In what Will
But
It
it's a great
Fly? The
quote.
book was called Will It Fly. There you go. Right. But
Okay.
again, most
Yeah.
people though they understand the line is the riches are in the niches.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
line actually goes, but the fortune is in the follow up.
There you
So now when
go.
you think about the group of people you've got, whether they're coming in through online leads, whether they're coming in through your circle of influence, what you just
Yeah.
said is where people are really winning with the online stuff is they're now getting the repeat business, the referral business. And so
Right.
what's happening now is that business is coming in. They're able to
Hmm.
nurture that. Now they got more quality opportunity coming back from it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love also the idea of specializing. So the riches are in the niches part. I'm thinking about like, um, narrowing in on a specific thing that you're awesome at, right? Like really getting to the core of like what is it that is your true talent, and explore that. Um, like immediately I thought of I've got the one guy in Ontario who has a website that really promotes daycares and Montessori's, right? Joe's his name. Joe has this, and everybody just de facto calls Joe because he took the time to build an educational website about that
Yep.
incredible niche, right? And the follow up bit was natural for him. He's been a sales guy his whole life, so the follow up's easy, and he's got email lists that go out to all of them, even when they're not looking for anything, right? He's got all the Montessori's, and all, like, and you can do that in any vertical
Yep.
you like, right? You choose to be the person who sells the 5 bedroom Madame Model X. Like, there's enough of them out there, God
We
knows,
just
right?
talked about it in the
Like,
branding session we did the other day with your group.
right? Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
when we talked about that, it's all about the experience and figuring out your core values and who is your niche audience and what are
yeah,
they all
yeah.
about and what does the messaging look like? Now,
a hundred
you know,
percent.
before I don't want to run out of time without getting to this topic of AI, because I know
Sure.
you guys
Yeah,
just did a session on AI,
yeah, yeah,
and we know that it continues to become more prevalent in our industry.
yeah.
I guess the first question here around this topic would be, what are your thoughts about it in real estate? Where do you think it's going?
I have the benefit of I sat through a presentation, and I'm not going to remember the guy's name, but if I can follow up in the comments later, I'll drop it in there. But
Yeah, yeah,
the second speaker at R4 at our big convention in Vegas was one of the developers from OpenAI, and really well spoken. Like you figure what. I picture like an egghead, right? Like somebody who can't speak English, like because they speak code.
yeah,
But
yeah. Right, right,
this
right.
guy was super, super articulate, and like your typical kind of like Southern Californian, and really kind of nailed down for me, like took a lot of the fear away, and really painted the picture of what we ought to be focusing on, and it's actually not dissimilar to your message. So if you figure anything that can be um, augmented, made better, improved, it's going to be by AI, right? It's going to become such an inexpensive commodity that everyone's going to be using it. It's going to be part of our lives. Um, so then you have to focus your business on the things that can't be, right? And he had a short list of them. You know what? I'm using my phone as a camera, so I can't pull them up. But they were things like attributes, human attributes, courage, compassion, the sense of community, right? Like AI can't create that. You might be able to have the movie Her, where they have a relationship with the chatbot. Like I'm sure there's going to be one offs like that, but the thing that you need to do in your own business, I think, is build around that, build around the things that can't be disrupted.
Yep.
And that's why, like, I think doubling down on networks, doubling like your own network, your the people, like what you're doing here with the podcast, right? Like, doubling down on those things, I think ensures that you have value in 10 years from now, right? Because it can't be replaced.
You know what? Emotion is the big thing. I said that on excuse me, on the stage at Inman,
Yeah.
probably 6 or 7 years ago. I was keynoting the marketing track there, and I made a comment about, talking about the path of least resistance, and technology is really smart, but it's missing that emotional human element.
Right.
And last year, or a few years ago, I was in Dallas having a conversation with somebody about AI. And this guy, he's actually been on the podcast. He's addressed the United Nations. He's addressed like major like presidents on the topic of AI. So this guy knows a couple things. They kind of look at him as like one of the global leaders in this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and much the same, we had that conversation around how it doesn't have the emotion that a human being would. And so we've
Mhm.
got to think to ourselves in this game here again, and this is where I throw this out there to everybody around, what we need to be careful about when it comes to AI is just making sure that we don't allow it to fully get in between us and our people. Okay. So
Yeah.
it can help us with some automation. It can help us with some brainstorming. It can be what we've called a co pilot.
Yeah.
But what I don't want to do is all of a sudden put the power in your hands as a, buyer or seller, that everything we do is going to be electronic. In fact, you're not really going to need to talk to me. If you just click these buttons and sign into this place with a password and do this, 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 and that,
Yeah.
it's all going to come together for you. Because at some point you're going to look and go, so what'd you do?
Yeah.
Why am I paying
Yeah.
you?
Where's the
And
value?
this is
Yeah.
this is the disconnection. Now, further to
Right.
that is, and this comes back to something you said before, but with when you're talking with your agents and helping people, it's that idea of collaboration, that problem
Mhm.
solving.
Yeah.
People don't want to go to a computer and type something in and say, "Hey, can you help me solve this problem?" Don't get me wrong. We do it. We will ask the question. But when it comes to the biggest asset of my entire life, I do want to have a human being there who really does know the in and outs to make sure that I stay safe. Because the last thing
Yeah.
I want, like right, I will not even go online to book my hotel. I still call the front desk. Call me old school.
Yeah.
And most people would be like, "Oh, it's easy." Yeah, but what happens if I screw something up online? What
Yeah.
happens if it doesn't record? I don't know who I talk to when I get there. At least I know if I
Yeah.
talk to a human being, I can be like, "Yeah, I spoke to Judy on this day at this time, and we booked this, and this is what happened." And they go, "Oh, Judy, did you talk to him?" "Yeah." "Well, why isn't it in the system?" My point is, even when it comes to a real estate transaction,
Yeah.
we need to pay attention to how we integrate technology, how much we
Yeah.
empower it to take over what we do, how much we allow it to devalue the value that we bring to the table. These are the things to pay attention to. So
Mhm.
if it's going to write content for you, hey, you want to brainstorm with it, you want to then change that, put it in your own words, and get some ideas. I'm fine with that, but get it into your own words. Put your
Yeah.
ideas there. If you
You
get
can
it to
see
write something,
already,
you
right?
can
Like you
see
can
it.
you can see who the people are that only use
Yeah,
ChatGPT to make their
100%.
to make their
Somebody
posts.
asked me
Yeah.
that the other day. He's like, "Oh, you
Yeah.
you tell me I can't do that?" I'm like, "Let me ask you something. You
Yeah.
get the answer
Yeah.
from chat, you put it out there to a client, then the client says
Right.
expand on that, and you're sitting there going,
Uh.
I don't know what to say."
Yeah.
Because you're just regurgitating stuff, right? So to
Yeah.
me, this is the this is the challenge, and we're not sitting here saying don't use it,
Right.
right? But it's pay attention to how you use it.
I look at it as like a productivity tool, and I think when we look back on this isn't going to age well because I think it's going to be a lot more than that in the future.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I don't
t
disagree.
today, okay, let's talk about momentum. So like I ended up because I'm the one that reached out to Steve to book the Momentum program. It kind of fell on me to do some of the organization, and so I basically gave ChatGPT my all of our communications about
Hmm.
the events, including all the dates, and then I was like, come up with a game plan for me. And then I'd like to come up with a calendar for it. And then I'd like you to come up with the announcements for it and use this tone of voice instead. And like all of that stuff that probably would have taken 8 hours total took like an hour and a half, right? Like it literally took some tweaking and some, okay, now I'd like the invite that goes along with the people who are in person, and now I'd like the invite for the virtual people. And like a task that would have taken me an enormous chunk of time takes me a lot less. And I think for me, that's the part I'm comfortable giving to technology.
But I was
Like,
going to say that's internal processes. That's not front
yes.
facing.
Oh,
So that's
100%. Yeah.
brainstorming. That's co-pilot. That's
Right.
collaboration,
100%.
right? So
100%.
that's
Yeah.
simplicity and that, listen,
Yeah.
efficiencies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to put that
And
in
you
between
struck on
everybody and stuff.
something. How
Yeah.
much do we have, like 4 minutes left? Is that what I'm
We got
seeing
a few
there?
minutes.
A
I
few
got a couple
minutes.
more things I just want to tackle
Oh,
with you
gee.
before
Okay.
we
Yeah. You
sign
go.
off today. Yeah, yeah. Go
Sure.
for it though. Go for it. Go for it. What were
Well,
we going
so
to say?
when you were talking about calling the front desk, like we went out to PEI in the summer, and I had gone online, and I do the same thing you do. I actually shop the pricing online, and then I call the hotel and I say, I'm seeing your place for this rate. What's your best rate right now? And if
Hmm.
you lead with what you've already seen, they're probably going to quote you something similar. If you just call them and say, what's the best rate you'll get, it's actually not as good usually.
Right.
But by doing that, I called it was the Fairmont in Quebec. I knew my kids probably won't see it again until they're older. So I thought, let's do this the right way. And then after my interaction with them, I told her about our family. I got like a list of all the sites to see with the kids. I got like a whole bunch of extra added value. And when I got there, the same girl who I spoke to was there. She's, oh my God, you're Ryan. Are these your
Oh,
kids? I'm like,
wow.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Cool.
So like your whole experience changes, right? When you create that kind of like a rapport. So I'm with you 100% on that. Like use the technology to do the research, then go the human route
It's
when you
funny you
can.
brought that up. We actually, when we were with your group the other day, we talked about the Fairmont when we talked about brand and experience. That's a very cool story. I'm gonna have to remember that one the next time we get back there. So, looking at this then, and this is maybe a little bit more rapid fire now, just as we're sort of, we're tailing off here.
Yeah.
But if we look at, a lot of what we talked about today from the market, the current state of the economy, tariffs,
Hmm.
what's needed to survive in this business, collaboration and people and scheduling, and we got into the tech around the lead gen and some of the processes and how do we convert from there and the AI kind of touching on that. And I know that's a
Hmm.
whole conversation that we could have an entire episode on,
Yeah.
but I think that we really hit home on a really important point there around how to leverage it. And that's really the biggest thing that my message is to everybody right now, because by all means, leverage it. Just do
Yeah.
it the right way. But in this case now, if I said to you, everybody's looking to make life easier for themselves. The days seem to get longer. There's a lot more to do every single day, and everybody wants to be more successful. What would you say are probably sort of the top three characteristics? And we could get into the depths of like what all the things you do within those characteristics are. But the top kind of one, two, or three characteristics of what you've seen from any kind of top performer realtor, winning realtor, award winner, the person who seems to just kind of appears to be consistently doing business. Which is
Yeah.
those three things are everybody needs to know? One, two, or even three.
Yeah. Um, Optimism, like the ability to see through the nonsense, right? Like the keep pushing. Yeah, like optimism, and I would say a dose of uh, tenacity. I think those are the top two, and actually someone who cares. So like you can kind of fake a smile, but the person on the other end kind of knows you're faking it, right? So somebody who genuinely wants to help people. Um, I think those are the three winners, and like I can picture. I'm now picturing my agents in my head, right? Like I'm, because like you know when someone is doing something and it's inauthentic,
Hmm.
right? You know when that's the case. And if you're not like the optimism side, if you're somebody who gets easily um, turned off by hearing the word no, right? You have to be thinking about the fact that there's a yes coming, right? I remember when I first got in the business, my dad's like, when I used to cold call, I would make sure every time someone said no to me, I'd hang up the phone, I'd say, yes, I'm one step closer, right? Each no is a gateway to a yes. And I think that's probably key in terms
I,
of
I
like mindset, right?
I love those because again, it's those are so much deeper than just mindset, right? Those are
Yeah.
innate characteristics, and I would say, if anybody's like, oh well, I don't know if I possess those or whatnot, I will say an action step to all of this right now is pick up a book and read. Okay,
Yeah.
listen to a podcast, and to everybody tuned in right now, I thank you very very much. Um, but feed the brain.
Yeah.
because the more you feed the brain, the more you start to hear a lot of the things from the most successful people out there, whether it's sports, business, life, whatever. And you start
Yeah.
to take some of these things and go, yeah, how do I see that? How do I think about that? And can I shift the way my mindset operates so that I can almost bring some of that stuff in? Because I love what you nailed on that tenacity, optimism, genuine wanting to help people.
Yeah.
So and I would say that the people that are winning, that's what they possess.
100%.
So
Like
so to
I
that
can't
then,
I
right?
can't think
Yeah.
of an exception to that rule. I can't even think
That's
of
bang on, man. No, no,
yeah.
well said. I like those. Those were not surface level either, man. That was although I put you on the spot, those were well thought out.
I appreciate that. You
Oh,
could
it's
have given
good.
me notes beforehand. I would have
I
practiced
I,
right
I
now.
totally no. The whole thing was to like throw you in the dark here, but
No, it's no more. It's no fun. It's no fun if it's rehearsed, right? That's the other thing.
what
Like authenticity matters, right?
100% it does. So what
Yeah.
would you say to anybody who says I can't?
Yeah. That's tough. I just had this conversation a couple days ago. So one of my requirements is that people don't come to me saying they can't. But I guess maybe that's what I say. I say that's not an acceptable thing to come to me with,
Like
right?
that.
Um, yeah, anybody can. And what I've like you if you look around the world and look at the people that did make it, most of them maybe shouldn't have, right? And yet they did. Like look at the president right now. Like it's and I see it everywhere. I mean, I used to think people got to where they were because they deserved it, they earned it, and some of that's true. They
Mhm.
probably did earn it, they probably did deserve it, but it wasn't because they had some innate talent that was like that they were born with, right? They probably had the vision of what they wanted and they kept working towards it until they got there, right? And there's very few exceptions to that. Winning a game show might be one of them. Like, how do you get to the top of the pop charts faster than earning it by being great at singing or going out and performing lots and lots of gigs? You go on a game show and you get found. These days in the like the YouTube culture, there's probably more opportunity than ever before. But I feel like that's kind of the I can't attitude is one that it's basically a base requirement for me for coming in to talk to me because you can't
Listen,
have the you can't.
I've been saying it to my kids since the day they were born. Yes, you can.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
that's
repeat it every night. It's our closing words, kiss them goodnight, tell them I love them, and tell them, yes, you can. And
yeah,
this way they hear dad's voice so that every time they hear, no, I can't, it's like, oh, dad said I can.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Now I
yeah,
hope
and
they
and
don't take
and
that out of context, because I could get them in trouble. But, you know,
and because of the role you're in, you could probably write them a prescription for fixing it, right? Like we did Lead the Field, Earl Nightingale, and that is a
yep. Oh,
prescription to
fantastic.
solve I can't, right? Like
Yep.
and name the coach, Zig Ziglar. Like it all starts with
Best of the best,
reminding
man.
people that we're all just human beings, and the more value you provide, the more opportunity comes your way, and find that value that you can give that's unique to you. Everyone's got one. Like everybody, every human on this planet has got some value they can give, right? So I'm an eternal optimist. It's hard for me to hear I can't, and
I
I'll
love
like
that
I
though, man. That's a
yeah.
great trait for leadership. And as we talk about value and we talk about leadership, anything on the horizon with Remax Enterprises and or Remax Specialists that you could share with everybody today so that they know about it.
Oh man, talk about on the spot. I actually like
I
so
know, right?
I
Just wanted to
yeah,
bring the companies up and sort of, just
yeah, for sure,
recognize,
for
what you've
sure.
got there.
There is so much going on, and like we I've got a management team that is we're like it's just such a great group to work with.
Yeah, awesome group.
And yeah, oh yeah, I guess you've met most of them now too, right? Yeah. Yeah, and so to me it's more just sort of building, modernizing, like the 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 company that I came to, Remax Enterprises, was started by a guy who was just like an awesome, awesome man. I shouldn't say started. David Ferrari bought the company, turned it into a
Hmm.
Remax, I think, or maybe it had just gone to Remax and then he built it up. So I started with a foundation of incredible people, and then but had to fix sort of the front face of it a little bit, right? Like we just had to get into the technology and just bring it a little bit into sort of today's world, and we've been doing that at both companies on like basically from from the roots up kind of thing, looking at how we can do things differently, how we can accelerate this thing. I hear the term bricks and mortar, and I'm almost a little bit offended sometimes by it because we've never really been only a bricks and mortar thing. Like we've always like the biggest challenge for a lot of brokerages and lots of my colleagues who have space, I think probably can will agree with me on this. Just because you have an office doesn't mean that you are a bricks and mortar brokerage because bringing people in, as you probably are very well aware, is very challenging, right? So we've had to innovate over the last bunch of years to try to find ways to bring people together where there isn't that natural sort of cohesion. That's where a lot of our efforts are spent. A couple days ago, we decided to create I think this started about 2 weeks ago. We had the idea at a management meeting to do a session for all these entrants into into the real estate industry who've joined since what 2005, I guess, where they've never seen a recession, right? And so and now you're seeing as prices are going down having to negotiate with your sellers, so a lot of it is just being responsive to that type of thing. We put up an ad hoc session yesterday where we had 4 or 5 panelists, and 60, 70 people showed up, which is incredible. It's like a really good turnout. So part of it is having your ear to the ground and making sure that you're responding to what people want. The AI session that I was just at yesterday, or sorry, just before this, I think we had probably 15, 20 people in the room, and then we had like another 50 or 60 online as well. So it's more of
Well,
that. I think it's just doing the do, right?
dude, listen, I being able to experience it firsthand and getting to work with you guys, and I thank you all for the confidence on that.
Oh
And
yeah,
you've got just a fantastic group over there. What I find very impressive, and when you say it's not just bricks and mortar, I mean, firsthand, I can attest to that because I know while we're doing our training sessions and we are in person with an amazing group of people, you've got an entire tech team there with like cameras set up and all the Zoom stuff going on. And we got people online everywhere, and we're addressing people in the room. We're addressing people on camera. Like it is
yeah.
impressive, man. And you've done just a fantastic job being able to rope everybody in and again provide that value that you mentioned a few moments ago so that they can continue, to win. So I think it's fantastic, man. I think what you're doing over there is amazing. It's been very cool to watch the sort of the changes and the impact you're making on it. And selfishly, it's even cooler to be a part of it. So I thank you for
I
that.
was gonna say same goes for you, man. Like you've helped us through a couple of tough times, right? Because we had you do an assistance for our agents during the sort of darker COVID era as well,
Right, right. Yeah,
right?
that's
So
right.
and then every time I reach out to somebody who is like I remember years ago, I used to think I could do everything myself. And probably the biggest lesson that I've learned is that it's better to find somebody who knows better than you. So I appreciate you. Like, thank you for doing this for
Appreciate you,
us.
man.
It's been awesome having you and like having something to motivate everybody over, right? Like it's a positive message, a chance to bring people together, and it's also like food for the brain, right? Food for
Absolutely.
the
It's so important,
yeah,
man.
a
Now,
hundred percent. Yeah.
as we look at all this stuff and we say,
Yeah.
okay, so right, you've gone through your entire day, you're there, you're helping your agents, you're doing stuff with family, 4 kids at home, wife, like there's just all sorts of stuff happening in your world, which is fantastic. Multiple
Mhm.
businesses. Um,
Mhm.
Days over. How do you know it's been a successful day for you?
That's a really good question. The that adage, the days are long and the years are short. I had actually the gal that worked with David Ferrari, Renee, said to me, she's like, make sure you take time to check in on the regular because they just fly by. Like before you know it, first quarter's gone. Like we just you started the show with that. Can you
There,
believe
man.
Q1's kind of out of the way already? Um, I feel like it's a success when I got to all the people that were looking to get what they wanted from me. When I got through a few of my operational goals. When I leave the day still hungry, like I actually that's something that's new to me, right? Because I leave the office like, I just want to finish this, but I
Yeah.
got these kids at home that I can't wait to see, right? It's
Yep.
and I'm sure you know that feeling.
Of course.
Um, yeah, like it's a. I generally feel I'm far more productive today than I have been for most of my life, and that's and it progressively got better as I got more focused, as I started to realize what the most important things are. Like as you have your first kid, and you're kind of like, oh wow, like now that changes everything, right? And so my I feel like maybe it's not every night that I acknowledge that the day was great, but when I see when I see the fruits of the labor, when I see you and our AV guy putting together a show, and that's the fruits of the work that we did. I don't know, when did we first start talking? I think I
Months
talked to
ago.
Steve about that, like
100%. Yep.
December, right?
Yep.
I think it was December, right? Um, I get kudos from one of my agents, like they're busy, they're doing their job, and like yesterday somebody one of my agents gave me this incredible, beautiful box with like all these things from an Italian bakery, and just a note saying like, "Thank you so much for everything you
Oh,
do." And I'm
nice,
like,
man.
oh, it's like the
So
first
good.
time a client bought me a bottle of scotch after I
Yeah,
sold
yeah,
the
yeah,
client a
yeah.
house, right? Like I'm just like, wait, I'm supposed to buy you the gift, like you're the
So
client.
good, man.
Yeah, so
So
I guess
good,
that's
buddy.
how, those are the gratifying moments where you kind of
Well,
realize
listen, it
you're.
didn't you didn't use the word money.
No, yeah, no, no. The money comes. That's it's a byproduct, right? Yeah,
That's an important point, though. It's a real
yeah,
important point.
totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
You need it, but yeah,
well, you need it. It makes the world
yeah,
go round. But again, it's
yeah,
I was watching a clip, who was saying Snoop Dogg.
yeah,
It was Snoop Dogg. And Snoop was even going on about how he just loves the business. He loves the music. He loves doing it. He
yeah,
says, if I'm chasing the money, I'll never have.
yeah,
Based on loving what I do, that's how I got to where I am.
yeah. Like I think I would probably do this job if I wasn't being paid. I mean, I like getting paid, but and I feel like I grew up in a brokerage environment, and maybe that was just kind of like infused through
Yeah.
osmosis or something. But I've always loved it. Like I didn't have any role officially at Specialist when I got there, and yet I found myself helping agents with technology before I had it, and before I was being paid for it, right? And actually, the people in my brokerage who I've chosen to lead or to help are all people that fit that criteria. Charlene, right?
Yep.
Like she was helping
Amazing.
people long before she was part of our management team, right? It's just in her blood, and I think that's kind of. I think that is one of the hopefully this is self-serving, but hopefully that's one of the signs of longevity in this business, right?
I
That you,
think that word help is the key.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I do.
absolutely. Yeah.
Final words here, just as we
Okay.
close out here and we kind of look ahead and say, okay, we're walking into the thick of Q2, spring
Yep.
market, you name it. What final words of wisdom can you share with anybody? What do they need to do right now to make the most of the next 90 days?
I took my own advice on this. I'm running a group of agents who had like a peak and then came down off the peak a little bit, and we're calling it Business 2.0. Um, reach out to five people in your contact, or reach out to 20 if you can, but reach out to five people a day in your database. And when I say database, your community, like your
Mhm.
sphere. Don't ask them about real estate. Ask them how they're doing. That's it. And then let the conversation continue over a couple of days, right? Oh yeah, what's your daughter up to? Like really express interest in people, because that's usually what starts to reciprocate, right? You'll find ways that they might need you, and you pay it forward, and then you'll find ways that you might be needed in their circle. You don't have to ask for business. You don't have to make it about business. The more people you know, the bigger the tentacles of your evil network will get, right? And it's such a rewarding way to do business. It's
It's
such a rewarding way.
it's too simple.
Yeah.
Too simple. Just have good conversation and good things happen.
I reached
And
out
that's
to five people 2 days ago, taking my own advice, three appointments I didn't ask for. Just-
Hey man,
I
listen,
love it.
think about how often you and I connect now and how quick
Yeah.
and easy it is and how sometimes we'll talk business and sometimes it'll be like, "Hey man, what's up?"
Yeah.
And it develops a stronger rapport with people. And so
Totally.
I love the words of wisdom here because it's exactly that, as everybody tuned in right now is looking to make the most of the next 90 days. Just have
Yeah.
good conversation and good things will happen. And Ryan, that's exactly what we've done here today. So I want to say a huge thank you to you, man. Some incredible words of wisdom. I know I took you a little bit longer than I had asked you for, but I thank you very, very much. I think that there was a ton that people could take away from today and really put into action. So again, a big, big thank you for joining me on the show today.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure, man. I appreciate having this chat. It was you made it nice and easy.
Hey, man, we've done it a couple times, so we just
It's
we
true.
keep trying
It's
to get
true.
better every day, just a little bit better.
Beauty.
That's good, man.
Sounds
Thank you,
good.
buddy. Appreciate it. You've either been listening to this, you've been listening to the MindShare podcast, and whether it's on one of your favorite podcast platforms or directly from my website at mindshare101.com, I want to say a thank you. While you're there, by the way, at the website, make sure to check out our full range of services from one-to-one coaching, the MindShare Collective group coaching, which I mentioned earlier, momentum training, and keynote speaking. All of it in place to help you take your business to the next level. And of course, don't forget to download your free copy of the Ultimate Marketing Bundle so you can build more mindshare to earn more market share. For all inquiries, just get in touch with us today. Of course, if you enjoyed this episode of the Mindshare podcast, I want to ask you a little favor, maybe a big favor, but if you can go over to ratethispodcast.com/mindshare101, it'll give you access to Spotify, iTunes, or whatever your favorite podcast platform is. We'd love if you could leave a quick review of the show. Let us know how much you like it. Give us a big 5 stars. Means the world to us. And again, this is part of how we've been ranked as number 6 and climbing as some of the best real estate podcasts in all of North America. So I thank you all for tuning in. If we haven't yet, please connect with me on Facebook and TikTok at MindShare101 and on Instagram at David Greenspan 101. I want to say a big thank you to Kids Keep in Touch Systems and REM Magazine for sponsoring this episode of the Mindshare podcast. This has been another episode of the Mindshare podcast, and I want to say a big thank you to everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next time.